All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about a tool that's really trying to shake up how we think about teaching. It's called AlloFlow, and the big idea is that it acts like an AI co-pilot for teachers.
But, before we even get into what it does, we kind of have to talk about why it even exists. The thing is, the core challenge for teachers, it's not new. Classrooms are more diverse than ever, and every single student has their own unique way of learning.
And that really just boils down to one huge question, right? How can one teacher, just one person, possibly meet the needs of, say, 30 different students at the same time? I mean, think about it. It's an absolutely massive ask.
So that's exactly where AlloFlow steps in. And this part is really important. It's not trying to replace the teacher. Not at all. It's designed to be that co-pilot, the sidekick that takes care of all the really heavy lifting, like creating different versions of lessons and materials.
And you can actually see their whole philosophy just by looking at the name. Allo. That's for adaptive levels, layers, and outputs. Basically, it means the content changes to fit each student. And Flow? That's for flexible learning options for whole student education. It's all about choice, giving students different ways to learn.
Now, this isn't just some random tech idea. It's actually grounded in a really solid educational framework called Universal Design for Learning. You'll hear it called UDL. And the big idea behind UDL is super simple but powerful. Design lessons to be flexible for everyone from the very beginning instead of trying to patch things up for different students later on.
So UDL basically boils down to three main things. First up is representation. That just means showing information in different ways. The second is action and expression, which is all about giving kids options for how they show you what they've learned. And finally, number 3 is engagement. Finding what makes students tick and using that to get them excited about learning. These 3 ideas, they're basically the blueprint for everything AlloFlow does.
Okay, so that's the theory, but let's see what this actually looks like. We'll start with that last pillar we mentioned, engagement, because this is where AlloFlow gets really fun. It has all these tools that are built to make learning feel, well, a lot less like work and a whole lot more like play.
Take quizzes, for example. For a lot of students, quizzes are stressful, right? Well, AlloFlow can turn that whole experience on its head. Imagine, instead of a boring old multiple-choice test, your class has to team up for a boss battle against an AI, or solve puzzles together in a digital escape room. All of a sudden, a test isn't about stress anymore. It's about strategy, collaboration, and fun.
And it's not just a one-trick pony. There are a bunch of different game modes. You've got your classic live quiz for that fast-paced competition. There's Team Showdown to get students working together. Of course, there's the boss battle where the whole class fights the AI, the escape room for the puzzle solvers, and even a straightforward review mode for kids who just want to practice on their own. The whole point is to give teachers options so they can pick what's right for their class on any given day.
But the fun stuff doesn't stop at quizzes. This next one is really cool. It's called Adventure Mode. A teacher can take basically any subject and turn it into a choose-your-own-adventure story. And the best part? The whole class gets to vote on where the story goes next. Talk about engagement. It gives them a real say in their own learning journey.
And there's a lot you can do with this. Democracy mode is that whole class voting system. D20 dice mode brings in random chance, which is a sneaky and awesome way to teach probability. You can even do system simulations, where students have to manage things like gold or supplies. Or, and this is great, you can create social stories to work on social-emotional skills in a really safe and interactive way.
Okay, now for something totally different but just as engaging, Persona Chat. Get this, it lets students have a real-time chat with an AI version of pretty much anyone you can think of. Imagine your students interviewing Marie Curie about discovering radium, or debating with Atticus Finch about justice. It completely changes learning from just reading a book to having a conversation. It's a game changer for sparking curiosity.
So making learning fun and engaging is huge, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. Accessibility is just as important. And that's where AlloFlow really leans into those other 2 UDL principles we talked about, representation and expression. It's all about making sure every single student can access the material and show what they know.
Just look at this example of the leveled text tool. On one side, you've got your standard grade-level paragraph, and on the other, you have the same information, but the AI has rewritten it using simpler words and shorter sentences. A teacher can do this in literally seconds. What this means is that every student in the room gets the same information, just in a format that works for them. It's a huge deal for accessibility.
And what about writing? Well, for any student who's ever stared at a blank page, the tool can create what are called scaffolds. Things like sentence starters to get them going,
or paragraph frames to help organize their thoughts. It can even whip up discussion prompts. The idea is never to do the writing for them. It's about giving them that little boost of structure they need to build confidence and become better writers on their own.
Okay, let's talk about feedback. The AI auto grader is a massive time saver for teachers, but it's even better for students. Instead of waiting days to get a paper back, they get feedback instantly. And it's good feedback too. It points out what they did well, that's the glow, and gives really specific ideas for how to improve, that's the grow. Getting that feedback right away while it's all still fresh, that's how learning really sticks.
So all these tools are pretty amazing on their own, but AlloFlow bundles them all together into maybe its most powerful feature of all. It's called the full pack, and honestly, you can pretty much think of it as the ultimate easy button for teachers. All they have to do is give it some content. It could be an article, a link to a YouTube video, anything.
And with just one click, the full pack spits out an entire lesson's worth of materials. I'm talking a deep analysis of the content, those level texts we just saw, a glossary with pictures, a quiz that's ready to go with an answer key, of course, writing prompts, a timeline, even a full-blown lesson plan. This is where that co-pilot idea really comes to life. It takes what could be hours of prep work and does it in minutes. That frees up the teacher to, actually teach.
So, this all brings us to a pretty big question, doesn't it? When you've got a tool this powerful, a tool that can automate so much of the grunt work, what does that actually mean for the future of teaching?
And AlloFlow's answer to that is really clear. The goal is not to replace teachers, period. The goal is to empower them. It's about letting the AI handle the boring, repetitive stuff so that teachers can get their time back. Time they can spend on the things that only a human can do, connecting with students, inspiring them, and being a mentor.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. If AI really can become a teacher's co-pilot, if it can handle the grading, the lesson planning, all that paperwork, what kind of amazing new things become possible for that human-to-human connection inside the classroom?